Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining our call. We'll wait a few moments for a couple of other people to log in. I'm Chris with Hotel Investor Apps. We'll be doing some introductions and get things moving here in a few moments. Obviously we are here today to focus on our labor tools and the integration between Netchex and HIA. We will spend most of today's call actually in the live system, but just give everybody a quick overview of HIA and also Netchex, and we'll take it from there. So today's fairly informal. We do have Jamie on our chat monitoring any questions, and we'll interrupt with appropriate questions as we move forward. Okay. So yeah, quick introductions. Chris Hall, EVP at Hotel Investor Apps. Stuart Etheridge has joined us, founder and president of Netchex. Many of you know probably either Stuart or myself, or maybe both, and obviously Chris as well, sales engineer at Netchex, to help answer some technical questions and go through the Netchex system as well. And then Elizabeth Mathis, part of the HIA team, business intelligence product manager. She builds it, designs it, and also will help you integrate it once you make a decision to move forward. Okay, quick agenda and overview. This meeting should take about 45 minutes. We're going to try and limit it to that long. So we will have some times for some questions at the end. We will be getting a Netchex overview here as our next item, and then a quick overview for HIA, and then we'll dive into the labor management tools, how it works, a live demo, have a quick summary, and then move on to next steps and questions. All right, Stuart, I'll hand over the controls to yourself. We are going to also turn off our cameras at this point, just so you get a larger screen size while you're looking at our presentations. And I know you're here to look at the information and not the team. So I'll turn my camera off as well. And Stuart, I'll let you lead from here.
Good deal. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for being on today. So again, my name is Stuart Etheridge. I'm one of the founders here at Netchex. I run our strategic partners. So I've worked heavily with Chris and his team at HIA over the last few months. Indulge me a little bit. We're going to take you through a few slides just to give you an idea of who we are and what we do, but I'll boogie through them pretty good. And then we're going to get to Chris Roy to give you a look at the demo. Netchex was founded in 2003. My business partner and I are ex-ADP guys. So almost 20 years ago, we started Netchex. In 2003, we took on a private equity partner in Primus Capital out of Cleveland, Ohio. We've been nationally recognized for both our technology and our service over the years. We have offices in Denver, Dallas, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, and our headquarters is in Covington, Louisiana. It's on the North Shore of New Orleans. We have right at 300 employees today that service our clients. We have about 5,500 clients nationwide. We pay people in all 50 states and the U.S. territories. Next slide. So at our core, we're a payroll solutions provider, but our total offering includes time and attendance, benefits administration, to include enrollment tools, or ACA compliance, COBRA services, and even carrier communication. In a real tight labor market like we have today, you need really a good solution to find and keep great talent. So I think we have really nice recruiting and onboarding tools that are simple to use, but real broad in scope. And we have a learning and performance solutions to really drive education of your employees, but then also help keep them engaged and stick around for the long term. And then we wrap all of these offerings with a reporting tool to gather information that you need, and we present it back to you in a really usable format. So it's an easy to use solution with pretty robust analytics. Next. All these solutions are under one umbrella. We're clearly mobile enabled, so the technology is really simple to use, but it's also mobile enabled. We're going to go we're also wrapping this. I talked a minute ago about our customer service, so it's a team-based, personalized service approach, pretty unique in our space. With the pricing is real simple to understand too. It's just a straightforward fee structure, no hidden fees. It's just a per employee per month fee model. Next. This slide here really speaks to our customer-facing teams at Netchex. Of the 5,500 clients that we have, we've gotten a 9.5 out of 10 service rating for the teams that are going to set you up and go live. So the implementation team and their hospitality-specific implementation team is going to take you through an implementation process. And we're getting a 9.5 out of 10 on those. So the people have a really solid customer service implementation experience. Once they become a client, they don't typically leave. 9% churn is one of the lowest in our space today. We also do something that's pretty unique in the industry. We publish our SLA time, so our service level agreements, and the time that are associated with taking care of those tasks. We publish those online today, and we hit 90% of those today. So I'll say all that to say this: clients leave, come to Netchex for our technology. They typically will stick around for the long haul because of our service. The dev team at HIA has done a lot of work to integrate with Netchex. They worked with our development group over here at Netchex to really bring this BI tool to life. You're going to see that here in just a minute. I saw it the other day, and I think it's a game changer. I think you're going to love it. Next slide, Chris. This is really, I'm getting into Chris Hall's space here. I'm not going to go too far because I don't want to steal his thunder. But I will tell you this: I saw this tool the other day, monitoring labor in real time and having the ability to adjust mid payroll before it's too late. I think it's critical in this thin margin world that you guys live in. And I think, and then being able to have that portfolio level views to know where you are at all times, I think is a huge opportunity. And I'm excited to be able to show this to you guys today. I'm going to hand it over to Chris Roig now. I think if you have questions in the interest of time, I think we're going to go through chat. You guys could do that, and we'll answer those as they come up. Chris?
Perfect. Thanks, Stuart. So let me get this screen share going here. So as Stuart mentioned, we really do manage the entire employee life cycle, the journey from start to finish. Today we're going to focus on a few key areas that are really making the biggest impact for our hoteliers. We've got a full platform that manages all of the recruiting, but I'm going to kick this off looking at the system through the lens of a new employee. One of the key challenges that we hear as we're out talking to hoteliers today is that, hey, I can't find enough people, and I'm struggling to keep the people that I do have. We're also hearing challenges with things like employees ghosting. Hey, they accept a job, but then they never show up the first day, or 3 days later, they're gone and I never hear from them again. And so what we want to do is we want to start to leverage technology to strategically connect and engage those new employees very, very early in their employment experience with us. In the best of cases, we're actually connecting with and engaging that employee immediately following the end of an interview before they ever walk out the front door. And so what can happen is, hey, we've got a great recruiting platform. We post it Indeed and Google, and people can apply online and QR code and text to apply, all that fun stuff. And we make a hire. And what I'll do is say, hey, do you have your phone? I just sent you an email with a link to start onboarding. And if they don't, great, let's walk over here to the computer in the business center. And behind the scenes, Netchex has automatically assigned the tasks that employee is going to need to complete and put together a nice, friendly dashboard that welcomes the employee in. Hey, John, we're excited to have you. Time to get ready for your new job. Hey, by the way, here's the things that we need you to do to get ready for day one. You see, at this point, employees are not looking for things like a check stub or a vacation request. We're going to get to all that later. Right now, what's top of mind for a new hire? Things like tax forms, direct deposits, I-9s, handbooks. Employees can do all of this from a computer or from their smartphone. There's a native app in the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store that they can grab and download. And so for you guys, we give you the opportunity to create this really engaging experience for a new hire. give you the opportunity to start to connect with them and get them onboarded right away. But we're also ensuring that everyone at every location got everything they needed, regardless of when they were hired, which hotel it was, which brand it was, which manager was on duty, or what was going on that day. Because behind the scenes, above asset, you guys put together a template that says, hey, these are the things that I need the employee to do. Now it can change. I have 12 in my example. That might be different for you. You may have 27, you may have 6. It can be different for different roles. Hiring somebody to work night audit or an AGM looks different than hiring somebody in housekeeping. But whatever the role is, you customize the template and you can ensure that they've gotten the right things. We'll also start to connect your new hire with their team members. Imagine an experience where before they leave the interview, they've already connected with some of the people they're going to be working with. They begin to create these relationships and check out the social profiles of their peers, even fill out their own social profile. Right? This is what our younger generations are doing. They're putting a selfie, they're filling out their profiles. And so we're starting to connect with them very, very early. And as they go through the process and fill out information like a tax form or an I-9 or a direct deposit, we're using that to automatically update payroll because this system is where the payroll happens. Plus, we make it easy for them by building some walkthroughs for some of those challenging compliance forms like W-4s and I-9s. We'll look at the employee's address to determine which tax forms they need. It's available in Spanish or English. And then we just guide them through a simple questionnaire. So instead of your new hire trying to figure out how to fill out these new forms and asking your GM for help on how to fill out their tax forms, and GM's not really wanting to help them because they don't want to get fussed at if it's wrong. Now the employee's kind of walking through more of like a TurboTax experience, where at the end of the day, we take their answers and automatically populate their W-4s for them. And so now employees have a very comfortable experience. They're confident that they filled out these compliance items right. And then you guys get back complete, correct, legible, signed forms the first time, every single time. And because it's all one system, payroll is automatically updated behind the scenes. So it really creates this really simple, easy experience on both sides. As we look at the complete task list, we go beyond just the basics of tax forms and I-9s. We also give you the ability to start to collect information from your employee. Maybe you've got a restaurant or a bar and you need to collect their bar card, TABC card, liquor license, whatever we call it in your state. Well, hey, let's just have an employee snap a photo of that and upload it here. We'll workflow it over to the GM so they can review and approve and make sure we've got a good, valid, unexpired license. Let's use this to collect their I-9 documents like social security cards and driver's licenses and eliminate the need for a manager to have to manage that personal identifiable information. That's sensitive data. We don't need a photocopy of somebody's social security card laying out on the desk. Now we can collect all of that right behind the Netchex firewall and have it automatically stored in the employee's profile. And of course, you can also set up your own custom tasks. All the policy acknowledgments and sign-offs, you just attach a copy of the policy here. Employees electronically review it on their phone and sign off saying, yes, I've received a copy. So we're really simplifying the onboarding process, and it's all about creating an engaging, connecting experience super early in that employee's journey. But it doesn't stop there. Employees continue to use the same username and password that they set up during onboarding throughout their experience with you. What we'll do is just kind of change their view. So when an employee first logs in right after an interview or before their first day, they're looking for tax forms, they're looking for I-9s. But as that hire date comes and goes, they're done with that. Now they're looking for things like a pay stub, a vacation request, a benefits enrollment. And what we've done is really designed this Netchex app to be super easy to use so that your employees can use this with little to no training. Without any of you seeing this before, I would bet that you could figure out where to go to find your paycheck stub or to request some time off, look at your schedule. And so now we've created this interface that's just super simple to use, whether it's punching in and out, and we can of course restrict that based on location, based on IP address. If you want to put a hardware clock, you've got the option for a hardware clock. Employees can easily punch in and out. We can tie that to different pay rates. So if you work in housekeeping and you work in night audit, you get a different rate for night audit. Or if you worked at this other property, I can track that labor distribution. And then with our integration with HIA, push that back in so you guys can look at some of those analytics on the back end. Employees have easy access to things like pay stubs and PTO balances and PTO requests. We also support all the state mandated sick plans where they accrue 1 hour of sick pay for every 30 they work or 40 they work, depending on what state you're in. Employees can easily come here and request time off. That automatically sends a text to their supervisor, and upon approval, syncs right into payroll. No more paper slips, no more fire drills on payday because somebody didn't get their vacation time. We also make it easy to manage employees' schedules or have them enroll in benefits. One of the challenges with our hoteliers is managing an hourly part-time workforce and understanding who's eligible for benefits and who do I need to offer benefits to under the ACA mandate. And even though we have very low participation rates, we still need to do that compliance piece to show that we actually offered benefits to that employee. We can help manage that for you, where employees are automatically measured for eligibility. When it's time to do an enrollment, they come here and can enroll right from their mobile apps. We make it a super simple experience. They walk through a quick enrollment wizard. Is this your address? Are these your dependents? And at the end of the enrollment, we use the data that we've collected to update everything in their profile. All the payroll deductions are automatically set up and assigned. They're effective dated so that we get the right deduction start period. We're using all this information to capture everything we need for the 1095C compliance. We do everything you need for COBRA compliance. One of the biggest places we find companies are out of compliance is around COBRA and getting out those initial general rights notices. But we take that work off your plate for you. We manage the COBRA on the back end if they want to continue benefits. And we've also got solutions that can connect all of this to the carriers. So when an employee enrolls here, we can make sure that Blue Cross, Aetna, UHC, Cigna, they know that, hey, this employee has now enrolled in benefits. And it's all super simple for the employee to access. We've also got solutions for learning and training. And this is a great opportunity to supplement what you're getting from the brands. Hilton, Marriott, they do a good job of giving you some specific training dedicated to their brand. But we go beyond that with HR compliance training, with professional development training, even the ability for you to put in your own custom training courses and administer quizzes behind the scenes. At the lowest level, it's all your HR compliance items like harassment and diversity and FMLA and HIPAA and OSHA, making it easy for you to ensure that you're delivering the proper content to your employees at every turn. Managers also have access to a full mobile app. Whether they're coming here to review and approve a PTO request, review and approve a time card, or complete a performance evaluation, we know that managers more than ever are working managers. They're on the go. And so we've got to give them tools that they can use wherever they are. It's not uncommon to have a manager cleaning rooms, working the desk. And so we can't ask them to stop and find a computer to log into. We also can help with your labor cost management by sending them alerts for things like, hey, you've got an employee that missed a punch in their time card. Send an email the very next morning letting them know, and then they can quickly pop into their mobile app and make that correction. So now as we're pushing that time into HIA and you're looking at those analytics dashboards, you can ensure that you've got accurate, up-to-date information because we're not waiting 2 weeks until the close of a pay period to go update an employee's time card. We're also finding more and more hoteliers are really starting to adopt performance evaluations for their employees, moving beyond just the annual eval. And Netchex can make that easy too, where we can set up reviews that are automatically assigned on a predetermined cadence. Every quarter, these reviews are assigned to managers. Managers get an email in their inbox and can quickly come in here and complete a performance review right from the mobile app. We don't, again, need them to stop or slow down. And what this does is it gives them a good framework to have a conversation with their employee about their performance, leading to better engagement and higher retention figures and lower turnover, which at the end of the day, hey, those are things that we need in our properties. Plus, we'll track all this behind the scenes so you guys can see how well you're doing from an HR standpoint as it relates to performance. As an admin, you've got all-in access to manage all facets of the employee's journey from one place. All your employee milestones like birthdays, anniversaries, PTO requests. Keep up with outstanding onboarding tasks, and even manage just to the exception. We'll also keep you abreast of any upcoming enrollments or eligibility for benefits and anyone that's completed an enrollment. Plus, you've got great reporting tools on the back end for things like HR reports and payroll reports. We even give you an analytics tool that works similar, not quite the same as HIAs, but similar in that what we're doing is we're giving you some of the HR key metrics, right? Things like turnover, your benefit spend, your wage analysis, and a headcount analysis. Now, as it comes to labor, we're pushing all of that data back into HIA, so you can look at that, and we'll let Elizabeth get into that. But from some of our HR metrics like turnover and benefit spend, we give you the ability to look at your scorecard. And not just look at your scorecard, but look at it through different lenses. As an example, looking at turnover by employee's tenure. Hey, I can change that. Show me a different date range and how we did. Hey, I see I lose people in the first year. Do I lose them in a certain position? Do I have a certain manager that's running people off? Hey, I got a few different divisions here. Let me just compare a couple of my divisions in the South region here. And so now we can start to look at some of that HR data and those HR metrics without having to run 12 different reports and spend half a day doing Excel gymnastics, and at the end kind of hoping we got what we needed. And while there's a ton more that Netchex can do, I hope this gives you a good feel of how we're helping our hoteliers strategically connect with, engage with, and empower their employees. How we're able to give them real-time feedback to ensure that they're doing what they need to do, get them trained on the things they need to be trained on, and on the back end, giving you tools to really measure your performance as it relates to some of those key HR metrics. And with that, I'll kick it back to the HIA team and let you guys go into a little bit of the labor analytics and how that integration really comes to life in your dashboards.
Thank you, Chris.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stuart. I'm going to move along fairly quickly here because I want to get us into this tool as quickly as we can. For those that don't know HIA, we are a hotel-specific enterprise resource planning software that will give you a single platform to manage all of your back office needs, from dashboarding to financial management. Today, we're going to take a look at business intelligence, and more specifically that labor piece of business intelligence, and then also our independent software vendors. I'm going to pause here on those independent software vendors because all of these ISVs, as we call them, are not the same. I have probably 5 or 6 that I highly recommend because they eat, breathe, sleep hotels, and they're also a partner that we enjoy working with. They send data easily. They have open API structures so we can pull that data for our clients and also push that data. And that's exactly what Netchex is. Netchex has been a great partner for us. As we've grown, so have they, and we talk really well together. So all ISVs are not the same. Our dashboarding, very quickly, customized to your specific needs. Our BI tool will be embedded into those dashboards so that when you're either using our mobile functionality or using your workstation, you will be able to see those dashboards and the key areas that you want to see. As HIA customers know, we do have standards set up for CEOs, GMs, department heads, whatever your needs may be, and also fully functioning mobile application, very similar to our friends at Netchex. So mobile is sort of, one of our big focuses, and you can do everything inside of our platform on our mobile application, whether it's reviewing a daily report or automating some feature through workflow. Our security is truly second to none. We have bank level encryption. We host your information on AWS. Even your individual user's interface to our system is fully customizable and really comes back down to what their needs are on a daily basis. Bank recs, general ledger, accounts payable, budgeting and forecasting, employee expenses, asset management with fixed assets, purchase orders, inventory modules are all just some of the key pieces of our tool at HIA. This is really where Netchex and HIA have come together in this labor management tool. So we will give you the ability to manage labor across your portfolio by position, department, hotel, or portfolio wide. So you will be able to customize those views to see exactly what you would like to see. And let's face it, the real reason we're all here on this call today is to give you access during a pay period so that you can make adjustments and your teams can make adjustments before you've already shut the door and that payroll has been completed. So if you take nothing else away from our call today, that's the one thing, the overarching message that we send is we will give you daily information on how your hotels are performing, whether it's minutes per occupied room, whether it's overtime hours, all budgeted and forecasted to standards that you guys have set yourselves. They're not standards that we're going to mandate or put out there for you. And in our business intelligence tool, and I know Elizabeth will do a great job demonstrating it here in a few moments, you also have the ability to have anomaly reporting. So what this means is even if you are not going into the tool on a daily basis or an hourly basis, when certain thresholds are met by your team, whether they're good performances or performances that need some attention, you can be notified of those. So I do highlight here the good as well as the bad. We all know that it's very easy to poke and look at the negative, but with our tool, you will be able to see those top performers, go to them and reward them and bring the rest of your team along with those top performers. We'll also take a quick look at our operations tools and then also our PACE reporting. We won't be looking at PACE reporting today, but that's the next pillar that we're going to be building out in our business intelligence. So labor management and the operational tools are already in place. The third piece to that will be PACE reporting, and stand by because we have some other things we're working on for management companies and for forecasting tools that will be coming down the pike as well. All right, a quick overview. I'm going to have a quick share of HIA just for those that have not seen it. This is a very standard dashboard, but once again will be customized per user. And your BI tool, should you decide to use our time and attendance business intelligence side in the labor world, will be here just like any other of our modules that are available for your use. Those BI tools and your particular dashboards can be combined. So you can have some of your operational tools mixed with some of your finance tools, also mixed with some of that labor data, and then push to a dashboard so that very quickly on a daily basis, you can see exactly what you need to right here on your dashboarding. All right. That is it from me on that side. I would ask Elizabeth if you would like to share your screen. We will jump into your demonstration.
Okay, let me get my screen up here. Okay, you guys let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see it great.
Great, good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Chris and the other team members have said, thank you for spending a little bit of your day checking out our BI tool and some of the software that we're presenting to you. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I do want to apologize. It seems my neighbors are wanting to do some grass cutting. I hope it doesn't interfere with you being able to hear me. So let's just jump right into our daily operations dashboard. So as Chris mentioned just a few minutes ago, you will be able to access your BI tool directly from HIA. So once you go into that module and you click on a specific dashboard that you want, you will be brought into, of course, your dashboard. What you'll see with each of the dashboards are a few things that will be consistent. At the top, you're going to have some navigation tabs. And basically, these are just separate sheets for the dashboards that you're looking at, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. The second thing you're going to notice and see are your controls, and basically these are filters. So I've got a few filters here. You also will be able to configure filters, or I can help you at the beginning when you start building out the dashboards that you want customizable. If you wanted brand groups or city groups here, we'll be able to put that on for you as a filter. So moving down to the actual data, this is the daily operations, which is usually probably used by more of your GMs, maybe department heads, some regional managers that want to look at their data on a daily basis, possibly a weekly basis. So what we've got here are some data points that you normally look at on a daily basis. You've got your room revenue, your rooms sold, some of the normal hotel metrics here that you'll be able to look at. Some of the other highlights are your room revenue against your budget. You want to keep an eye on that real close to make sure you're not going over budget and make adjustments as needed. Also have some comparisons to last year. So we have some of these comparisons that you'll be able to look and see how you're faring against last year. I have put in some indicators. So you have some conditional indicators that you can put checks or up and downs to kind of look visually immediately, you know that you're up or down on whatever metric it is. We scroll on down. We've got some other charting here. I've got like room revenue against your last year data with a budget indicator. So you can come down here and see how the portfolio is comparing to each of the hotels. Now, if you're a GM, if you come in here to your dashboard and you only have access to one hotel or one property, when you go into your dashboard, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see your one view and your one property. So in this charting, it may be more that you want to look at dates for your one property versus a portfolio of all properties. But with that, if you do have access to more than one, if there's anything that you want to look at, say I'm interested in the Fairfield Inn here, looking at their last year data, budget, and I just want to drill in more, I can click here, and that will give a full page filter. So now I'm actually looking at just the numbers for the Fairfield Inn. So I only have filters here that I can do. I can also in-filter as I need to on chart visuals per property. You just re-click again, and then it'll bring back everything that you had. And down here, I've just added some visuals for forecasting. So you'll be able to add forecasting for whatever metric and have that available to you, right as a visual if you want, based on your needs. To reiterate again, this is going to be customizable to the customer. So we're going to have standard dashboards such as this that will be published out to you. And once you have access to that based on your permissions, you'll be able to customize some of these metrics that may not be more suitable for what you want. So you can actually customize to the metrics that you want to look at. So we're going to go on over to daily stats. And this is just another version of how you might want to see your data. If you're not one that wants to look at a lot of numbers, maybe you just want to know, what's outliers, what are the anomalies, I'm more concerned about that. Then you'd be able to come in here and with our anomaly detections, you can customize these to know when you have different anomalies and to be alerted of that. Setting, if you need to reset a configured alert, you can actually come in here. And what I have it is for this room revenue anomaly, I just have this a medium or above anomaly. And I have my direction that if it's higher or lower than expected, but you can certainly, if you want it to be lower, you can set it how you want and click OK on that. So you can change these as you need to. Maybe you don't want to see the highest, room revenue. You just want to see the lowest. So those things are configurable based on what you want to see. Again, we have, a view of the same metrics that you have here, RevPAR on trends, if you're not wanting to see specific numbers, and really you're just concerned with how you're trending and looking at some outliers, you'll be able to do that. You'll notice here you have some little, the shaded areas on some of the trending. That's actual forecast that you can put in on some of the charts. So on this, say, occupancy trend, I've got a forecast, and we can go in, and if you want to edit that forecast, then here you'll have your sidebar that comes up. Now for the forecast length, whatever time metric that you're looking at, this is what a period is. So for our daily, we were looking at numbers on a daily basis. So 7 periods would be 7 days forward. And back period, of course, would be 7 days backwards. So you're looking 7 days back, and then we want to get a forecast on 7 days ahead. Your prediction interval, that's how big or how wide that you're wanting your shaded area. If you've got a little bit more leeway, the higher the percentage, the bigger the shaded area. If you want it to drill in to be a little bit more narrow and really strict on what your upper and lower bounds are, you can change the settings here. If I change it to 75, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see a change, but then if I apply it, it's down. You see that it's narrowing a little bit there. Okay, and then as you scroll through, just some other visuals here. We still have some trending, and then we've got a mix of actual data that if you want to see per property, you can actually see, your rooms available, room revenue. You actually can add metrics to the pivot table. So if this is the standard one, and you want to add a few more metrics on here to some columns, you will be able to do that and customize it the way you need. Again, here I just have a payment report for Visa, your credit cards, those kind of things. So really any of the operations data that you want to see, we'll be able to import that from HIA and be able to put it in a metric and a visual for you. To move on to the detailed stats. This is just another way, if you're a numbers person, just giving you opportunity to look and see that you can actually, I've got these set out on a daily revenue basis. I've got them grouped as weekly if you just want to see per week how you're doing, monthly or year to date. And any of these visuals, they don't necessarily have to be on their own page. These can be a mix of as you're configuring your own dashboard. If you just want to see weekly revenue, you can actually add it to your front dashboard and just be able to see the weekly if that's what you want to do. Location stats. This is just another little neat visual that if you want to see something, you have properties that are across the United States or grouped in certain areas. We can certainly have the geospatial data here where if you want to look at that, I have a few of the metrics here that, okay, I've got my RevPAR. I can kind of take a quick hover over Florida and see that. If I want to click in, drill down to the city, then I'll be able to do that as well. And then you can get your details by city and drill down as far as the metrics that you have that's layered. If I want to go back up, I'll just click the up arrow and then I'm back to where I started from. Okay, so basically that's kind of like the daily operations, just an overview of some of the visuals and some of the anomalies and forecasting that you can do. So I'm going to jump over to now the monthly operations dashboard. Okay, and you see that I have a few other types of visuals that you can do. You can actually embed your logos on each of your dashboards so that, if you want to print or download PDF, and I'll show you that in just a minute. You'll have that on the header. I've got a banner here for monthly operations, and this is actually your income statement. So what I have here at the top, again, you have your navigation tabs and your filters. And below is some of the metrics that are more important for, people that your positions in the corporate or regional district managers that look more at a monthly basis for their numbers. Then you're going to come in here and you're going to get your metrics here and see the top numbers, your gross operating profit, your NOI versus budget. You can have the metrics versus last year or any comparison that you want to do. So configurable and customizable to your needs. Below, again, we're just showing some visuals here on net operating income to your GOP. So I'm just kind of looking at the comparison and how the portfolio looks across the board here. Again, your operating revenue to your budget. So even though you've got numbers here, you can actually visually see and per property. If you want to look more, again, this is another thing you click again, and then it refilters the page for just your one property if you're looking at something that needs to be made attention to on that. And then down here, I've added some of the checks or the anomalies. And the neat thing about the anomalies, as you use the system more and it detects day to day, it has machine learning. So it'll learn your properties, and if things are truly anomalies, after it gets so much data, it'll say, you know, in the beginning it probably have some anomalies, but then as it see maybe seasonally or how you go month to month, it'll learn that, okay, this might have been an outlier 3 months ago, but I see through the how it's progressing that it's not actually an outlier. So it learns your data as time goes on. As I said, again, if you wanted to say print this out as a report, or you want to download it as a PDF and send it to someone, you want to use the export option here. You have a print option. It allows you to do some configuration on how you want to print it out, your background color, if this had color or whatever, if you wanted to do that. You can set that up, and then it gives you a preview of what it's going to look like, and then you can just print. If you need to reconfigure, you can use the configure button. So I'm going to X off of that. Alternatively, if you wanted to download it as a PDF, you're going to click your download. It'll give you a message saying, hey, we're downloading. We'll let you know when it's done. And then it'll have a little pop-up that tells you when it's done. And then you'll view your downloads here. I've already downloaded one for you. So I'm going to click here. And this is what the PDF form would look like. And down at the bottom, it shows you what your filter options are and what you have chosen for this particular report. Okay, so to move on from that, I've got the summary here. So basically you have your dashboard, but then we also have a summary here. And this may be something that, you know, certain people, they may want to just see, again, your outliers or your top performers or your bottom performers. So what I have here is where you can configure to see what the top performers are, or what the lowest operating revenue, gross operating profit, any metric that you want to see that are not performing in your portfolio. Then you'll be able to say, hey, okay, I need to contact some of these hotels and see what's going on. We need to get those numbers up. So you'll be able to come in here and see at a glance the hotels in your portfolio that might need some attention. So again, just some other metrics to show you. We've got your POR, your expenses here, so you can have that and you can kind of look over each of your portfolio POR expenses and just make a measure of that, and anything that needs to be paid attention to, you've got it right here. You can look at that. You have, again, some different ways that you can see some of the metrics. I've got a gauge chart here. So if that's something that you prefer, you don't necessarily have to have a line chart. There's many different ways that you can see your metrics. And once you get in and you start looking at it, then you'll kind of know what works for you visually, or if you're a numbers person, then you might want to see, you know, pivot tables. Here you've got a rolling 12-month ADR, RevPAR, and occupancy. On this, any of these visuals that you see, if you have it maximized, so if it's not quite big enough for you to look at, you can actually maximize the visual, get a better look at it. If it's something that you want to export, if it's an exportable visual, then you'll have the option to export into CSV or Excel, whatever the option is. You can use the minimize to go back. And then another little neat visual here that you may or may not use. This is your funnel charting. What this does is it will make a ranking comparison of your hotels up to 25. So here, of course, we don't have 25, but if you had over 25, it would do the top 25. And so what it does is, based on what I have, the metric of net operating income, this, of course, is the top ranking, and then it just goes down to, and it gives you the percentage of the previous that you have. So your Town Place Suites is, 91% of the first. If you go down to Candlewood Suites, the top, of course, it's the percent of the first one, which is the Homewood Suites. The percent of the previous would be the immediate one there. So you can see how close or how far apart some of your hotels are in their metric that you're looking at. Okay, so we're going to go over and to the next tab. This is just a sample of just a high-end overview of your income statement. This is basically kind of like your summary front page. So you get your high-level revenues, your expenses, operating expenses. So you're able to see that at a glance per property. If you want to, and we will be able to have the ability to drill down. So not only a high level overview, you actually will be able to, and we can configure for you down to the account levels, where you'd get down to, you see here, I have room revenue. We've got down to the account line details. That goes for any of the departments that you have. We can get it down to your china, your linen, so you can drill down into as far as you need to see what costs, is costing you. If there's certain line items, you can drill down into that and see exactly where you need, some attention to be paid to. This is just the other departments. If you've got food and beverage in some of your hotels, obviously you can have that separated out so you can see where the revenues are coming, what you need to take care of on any food and beverage expenses or revenues. And then just some miscellaneous revenues and departments. So basically any information that you have in HIA, your operations can come over and we can configure those based on your needs. The other thing I want to show you here is a year-on-year comparisons. And I know a lot of customers in the past couple of years been really wanting to compare to their COVID year and see how they're doing. So we've got the ability to have your year over year. You can look and visually see, okay, yeah, it's not doing so well. We're doing here 2021 did a little better, but we need to, bump it up in 2022. So there's a way that you can look at your year over year comparisons. And these are just a few of the metrics that I've put on here so you can see, if you need your variances and those kind of things. And again, these are conditional. This is another sample of conditional icons and backgrounds that you can do to kind of give you a direct focus on what you need to look at. Okay, so basically that's the operations on a monthly basis. So now I'm going to navigate over to our labor dashboard. Okay, so as everyone has said before me, we have partnered with Netchex, and they've allowed us to bring their data in, and we've married it with our operations data. So here again, so when you come into your labor management, we've got, of course, is again, navigation, filters, banners if you want. We have brought in some of the HIA operations data. Here I've just used your room revenue and your rooms sold, so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on in your labor. If there's any other metrics in HIA that has to do with labor that we can pull in and marry with Netchex data points, then we certainly can do that to get you the metrics that you're normally doing by hand now, or in some other system that's, takes a little bit of time. We'll be able to do some calculations, calculated fields, and add metrics so, you don't have to do that manually anymore. So as we've blended the data, you see that we have wages as percent of revenues. So we've got this here per property. This is your actual cost and how much the percent of total revenue that is. Here I've got a few metric cards here for your overtime. So overtime I know is real critical and trying to keep that under control as you need. So with these kind of metrics that we have, the cards, if you have a little plus sign with the little bell here, you can actually create an alert. So what you'll do is you can click on the bell and you'll see that it's going to give you some options for filling out an alert. So we've got your overtime hours, which is the metric that we're looking at. And then you can choose the threshold. If it's a metric that you want above or below or equal to, then you just create your information, put your thresholds in there, and then you can have it notify you. You've got some options here: weekly, daily, frequently, as it happens. And then once you save that, if your threshold is met based on what you've input, then you will get an email. I'm going to show you one that's been sent to me about a month ago back. So you will get an email that tells you, hey, this is above your threshold. Just wanted to let you know. And the neat thing about this is when you come into this email, you'll have a link that automatically lets you come into the dashboard. So from your email, you can direct link to your dashboard so that you can look a little bit more into what that alert is and then contact whoever you need to see what's going on. So down below, we have some other line items here, line charts that are showing your actual versus standard costs. Now, what we're going to you'll be able to do is once you come on board and we start bringing in your data, we will have a place in HIA that you're going to actually be able to input your own standards per property, across your properties, per position, per seasonality. If you have some seasonality in some of your properties, then you'll be able to change that on the fly or month to month, however you need your standards to be, you'll be able to come in and input. And then of course it'll be reflected on your visuals here. So actual versus standard hours, those kind of things. And again, with any of the dashboards, if I'm looking at something, I'm saying, let's look at the laundry attendant. It's going to filter again. So then, of course, you see immediately this is the cost. This is the percent per revenue. So you can actually filter again by position or any of the metrics that you see here. You can go into. Here we've got your cost per occupied room. So you can actually take a look at how much it's costing you per occupied room. We've got the departments here, an overview. Then if you need to look in a little bit deeper, you've got your, like say, housekeeping. So then you can see every position separately on the cost per occupied room. You'll be able to drill in as needed. Okay, and so we've got some cost trends here that you can go through. I've got it for the entire year, so you can kind of look at how your departments are trending up and down based on the month or just the entire year. Here again, I've used the housekeeping department for you to look at your standard hours, your variances to your hours, your cost and variances. And here again, I've got your conditional icons that you can put here up and down, so you can see immediately whether or not you're doing good, doing not so good, and you can, attention to detail and contact who you need if it's below any thresholds that are concerning. Below, again, we have just the filter. You have your funnel chart. So we just have the two here. So of course it would be the same. It's ranking your properties based on the metrics. And then this one here I put on, this is based on just a sample of a customer request customizable metric. This customer wants to see anybody in a pay period that has over 75 hours of work time in a pay period. They're going to accrue some PTO. So it's just a quick check that, maybe they just want to look and see how many employees are actually accruing PTO. If for whatever reason you need to export this out and send it somewhere, you can. So it's just a little neat feature to show you that we can customize based on your needs. As long as we have the data points, we can bring that in and calculate what we need to. On the labor details. Okay, these are the actual more details that you might want to see or you look at now in whatever interface you have. We've got your labor hours. And again, this is the detail for labor hours where you have your standard hours, your variances per department. You can still drill down so you can get down to the position level. Here onto the right-hand side here, on the front of the dashboard where we had our overtime, you actually see that I've got a detailed overtime list here. So you can actually see where that 13 hours of overtime came from. You've got some front desk, you got some housekeeper, laundry attendant. So you can actually break it down and see where the overtime is coming from. Labor cost, we got again labor cost and minutes per occupied room. So any of the normal metrics that you look at, we'll be able to configure those, and any metrics that out of this you start looking at data and you think of other metrics that might be more useful, we'll be able to work together and try to add that as a visual for you as well. This on the other side here is just some same metrics, but a different way of looking at it. You got your actual versus standard and a gauge visual, if that's something that is more appealing to you than a line chart. Down here we have the pie charts, a different way for you to look at and slice and dice your data. I have all these by department. If you wanted to look at and just drill down into just the housekeeping department and see how that's broken down, it looks like it's 56% of the total of MPOR. I can click on it and actually right click on it and drill down into the department, and then I'll see all the positions for housekeeping. So then I can see what's taking up the most minutes per occupied room. I can jump back up here to get back to where I was at. And also, if I'm already here and I'm seeing all the departments, but maybe I just want to see all the positions, and instead of clicking on a specific one, I can actually just drill directly down and you can see all the positions and not just a department position. And that's across, of course, all the other metrics that we have here. We're going to go to the guidance and anomalies. And these are things that'll be built more so. I've got some samples here, but this is where it's really going to help you to configure some alerts, some for anomalies, or just some guidance or forecasting. That's really going to help you focus in on where you need to spend your time making changes or adjusting hours or overtime or anything like that. So, for instance, we have our overtime by position. Got a couple of the highest CPOR, MPOR. So these are some samples of, some of the metrics that you might want to keep an eye on. Highest overtime cost. It tells you the day, and it's like, okay, so why was the overtime, so costly on that day? That'll allow you to go back in and maybe drill into that day and find out, what was the reason for so much overtime. Okay, and I think that's a pretty good overview of some of the visuals of the labor. Again, I just want to reiterate that a lot of these things, as we start building out your dashboards and you want to configure some of the metrics that you're using that haven't been shown here, we can configure those, add them to your dashboard. The neat thing about this is once you get your dashboard there, if you're a department head or a regional, if you want to share your dashboards out with someone else, you certainly can do that. You'll be able to share your dashboard or send a link here. So just say if I wanted to, for this labor report, I wanted to come up here and either share the view. I'll have a link that I can include to send to someone if I just want them to view it. Or if I want to maybe do some email, maybe I want to schedule the email or send out to more than one person. So you can actually schedule once a week, a day, however you want it to be, when it's going to be sent. You can put something in the body of the email if you want it as an attachment or something just in the email body to show. And then you'll be able to choose recipients that you want them to. So you may want to send it to maybe your operations manager if you're a GM, something like that. So you'll be able to come in here, schedule it, and then you don't really, have to bother with coming in, printing it out, or downloading it and emailing it. It'll do it automatically for you. And then we also have another dashboard, which is the Smith Travel. So I'm going to go in here to the Smith Travel. So this is the monthly look at your Smith Travel. So if you have licensing for Smith Travel, this will be included in the operations portion of the BI tool. So we'll be able to come in and configure this. And so what I've got is just a nice, neat statistics and what Smith Travel provides for us. So we've got our ADR, occupancy, RevPAR, compared to your comp ADR and your indexes. Again, I've got some conditional meters here. And these will be thresholds that you can configure. If you need something to be a threshold of, between 1 and 10, you'll be able to put an icon or some type of meter. If you then need it to be 10 to 20, so you'll be able to have layers of thresholds and indicators that, let you know, hey, this might need to be paid attention to here. This one's doing really well, those kind of things. So you'll have a lot of flexibility in being able to see visually things that need to be focused on, and also with the alerts that will send to you if you're not in the office. You'll be able to have emails and based on alerts or thresholds that you configure. Again, just showing you some ways that we've got the visuals for Smith Travel. We've got our index percent changes. And I've got some conditional icons here that let me know right off what's doing good, what's not so good, and who I need to contact on some of that. I've built up a year to date. So we know that you get 36 months of each star. So I've got some year to date if you want to, kind of compile how you're looking at information and what you're doing for a year to date. You can come in here and look at the same metrics. And then I've got the same with the visuals here. So you can look at the numbers, and you can also hover over and you're able to see your comp, your property, your comp set, and your index comparisons visually as well. Again, just another way of seeing the monthly. We've got the trailing 12. So we've got, if you want to view that on a trailing 12, moving forward throughout the year. Again, some conditional icons here, and then the visual, instead of numbers, we've got some visual charts here that gives you, your comparisons and then your indicator indexes there.
Fantastic.
And then the last is guidance and anomalies. So obviously you see I've played around this a lot. So I put a lot of different ones on here. So I had a lot of data that I could work with. So we've got your top occupancy, your movers, your revenue discrepancies. If there's anything that you want to look at, maybe you're more in tune with who's the bottom movers, who's going down that we need to really pay attention to and contact. You've got occupancy growth. So you've got growth cards that you can, metrics that you can do, comparisons, month with the highest occupancy. So you've got a lot of different anomalies and guidance configurations that you can do that'll help you stay on top of any metric or any set of data that you need to stay on top of and be alerted to if something goes wrong in the operations day to day.
Fantastic, Elizabeth. I think that should do us.
Yep.
I appreciate
a lot of data to try to squeeze in, so apologize.
Oh yeah, no, that was fantastic, and appreciate everybody's time on our meeting today. If you have any questions about HIA or Netchex, I'd strongly recommend you reach out to myself or Stuart. We're here to help. I'm sure there will be many questions. Fantastic. Cool. Thank you all. Thank you, Netchex team. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye for now.